Okay, this is going to be a really quick video just briefly going over what the secondary application is and what to expect from it. First of all, the secondary applications are much shorter than the massive primary one you had to complete. You won't have to deal with transcripts, letters, entering in classes, or anything like that anymore. The only thing you really have to worry about is having to write more, but we'll get to that later. Just about every school you send a primary application to will give you the opportunity to fill out a secondary application. There are a few exceptions to this, such as the Dell School of Medicine in Texas, that look at GPA and MCAT scores before deciding who gets to receive a secondary application. But the vast majority of schools just send it out regardless. Now, each of these secondary applications are unique to the school that sent them, and this is kind of the point. You already completed the big bag primary application that had all of your information on it, so now the schools have a chance to ask you specific things to try and target applicants that would be good fits. When you receive a secondary application, it will come through your email roughly 2 to 4 weeks after you submit your primary application. This is what it will look like. So as you may know from other videos, I am currently a medical student at Texas Tech, so I thought it appropriate to show you the email I got from them to use as an example. I've blacked out a few personal things and passwords for obvious reasons. Now, what you will be given in these emails is a link to a portal that contains the secondary application. You will also be provided with a login and password, and as you can see, my login was just using my TMDSAS ID. Unfortunately, I no longer have access to any of the secondary applications I got, so I can't show you exactly what it looks like, but just imagine getting sent to a portal or website run by that school. When you log in, there will be a few tabs that you'll need to go through. Some will take 5 seconds, and others might take weeks depending on how you approach it. It usually starts out with a welcome page that might say something like, "Congrats for making it this far," or might have like a description of the program you are applying to. Next, you might have to re-answer some specific biographical information that they want you to know, or just some random personal questions. There will also usually be a tab that contains either school-specific questions, like financial aid for instance, or if the school offers any dual programs, like an MD-PhD, this is where they will ask if that is something you are interested in. But if you are, know that there will probably be more essays that go along with it. Then, you'll have the dreaded sections where they get to ask you a bunch of essay questions. This is the most important part of the secondary application, so you should definitely check out the video on secondary essays. Just to quickly overview it though, each school will ask you an assortment of essay questions that they feel best characterizes whether you will be a good fit at the school or not. Some schools might only ask you 1 or 2 questions, while others might have 8 or 9. It really just depends. Finally, once you have finished all of your questions and writing, you can double check everything. Agree to whatever they tell you to agree to, pay the secondary application fee, which is usually like $80 to $100, and then hit submit. Now I know the secondary application seems short at a first glance, but there are some final remarks I want to make about it to help you. First, you should use the secondary application as an opportunity to gauge what the school wants and values. If you aren't much of a religious person, but 2 of the 4 essays end up being religious or faith-based questions, that might be a red flag for you. Also, since you get a secondary application for each school you apply to, please understand the amount of workload you will have to complete them all. You should definitely prioritize the schools that you like the most and complete those first, because you will get less motivated the longer it goes on, and chances are the earlier you send in the secondary application, the better odds you have. This is because a lot of medical schools do rolling admissions, so they will interview and admit students as the application cycle goes on, rather than reviewing everyone at once. So, case in point, the earlier you get it in, the better. I want to caution you, however, because I cannot stress just how much writing this is. Let's say you apply to 10 schools, and although they will have different essays, let's say the average amount of essays they ask for is 3 to 4. You are looking at 30 to 40 essays that you will have to write. Those essays can range from 100 words to something like 3,500 characters in length. So by the end of finishing all of your secondary applications, it might feel like you've just written a book. All of this to say that secondary applications can be very time-consuming, so you should absolutely try to plan out which ones you want to finish first. Okay, let's say you finally finish and hit the submit button. What's next? Well, as much as it sucks to say, it's a lot of waiting. But the next thing will be if the school decides to invite you for an interview. Now, this will be the first step of the application process that you might not get accepted to, and that's okay. Nobody expects every applicant to get interviews at all of their schools. Even getting 1 or 2 interviews is very impressive. I will talk more about this kind of stuff in the section on interviews, but just know that when you hit submit on the secondary application, your next step is to just wait, work on other things, and try not to stress about getting an interview.